Hello, my fellow readers. This is Symphony777 with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the stories will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story, and finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, I got two Mario fanfictions ready to go, hot and ready, for my birthday. Fun fact, these were actually specifically suggested for me by the author right here. Basically, I asked her to do me something, so she asked me to do this in return. That's all. That's all that needs to be said about that. But I'm just happy to do it. You know, me and her are friends, so I was happy to do it. But the first fanfiction we're gonna do is Shadows Emissaries Redux. It is a rewrite. I would say it's a rewrite because it changes literally everything about the original. And I remember not really liking the original. I think if we go to here, we go to Shadows. There's, yeah, all the way in the. It was not good. It really wasn't good. But this version was way better. Just completely blows the original out of the water. I wouldn't say it's her best work. I still think where is it? I gotta go all the way back up here. Where is it? Right here. I still think Pain of the Past is her best work. I think Pain. I think if I had to rank all of her fics. I mean, Starlet. Oh my god, I did 30 of her fics. Oh my god. Let's see, Pain of the Past. I think Celia's dad, Ray Duck. Wait a minute, where's? Oh yeah, Split Mindset. I would probably say this is like the second best. I'd probably put it either right here or with S minus. I may put maybe below Split Mindset. This is like more in order of year rather than like actual ranking to keep things easy to keep track of for me. But let's actually get started on the review. So, in this version of the story, we actually follow Pom Pom as usual, but unlike the original Pom Pom, who's more of a feminist character, this is a Pom Pom that is struggling with actual mental disabilities. Not mental as in like something like autistic, but more due to the fact that she has to go to therapy and she has to take like medicine because she was gaslit and convinced by her family and everyone she knew that Vivian, otherwise known as Best Girl in Paper Mario, because I am a Vivian fan. Don't worry, we'll talk about Vivian. They convinced Pom Pom that Vivian is not real. So basically, in context of what happened, as a kid, Pom Pom met Vivian because Pom Pom wasn't really that popular. Pom Pom was kind of like lonely, so she kind of met Vivian. They kind of became friends with each other. And then one day, Vivian disappeared. Like, just out of nowhere, disappeared. So, out of worry, Pom Pom told her family about him. It's like, and if you think, like, in the mushroom world, you walk up to your parents, like, what is it? What is it, Pom? What is it, daughter? But my friend Vivian disappeared. Your friend Vivian? Yes, she was a purple shadow, and she had a cotton candy pink hair and a red and white hat. You're saying she was a shadow? Yes. Honey? Yes, here? She's making shit up. and that's basically what happened. Because the idea of like a living shadow was like and to be fair, like there's like only like three kind of like the Shadow Sirens, Vivian, Marilyn, and Beldam are like canonically the only Shadow Sirens alive. So I can understand where the parents might be coming from. When they think, oh, you're seeing, you probably have like schizophrenia or something like that. Oh no, that's bad. And she had to live this life of always being reminded of that Vivian was just simply not a real person. She was like a figment of her imagination that kind of manifested itself in such a way that she kind of like it never specifically says schizophrenia, but it's like implied schizophrenia. So I like the detail of, not exactly saying it, but kind of implying it, because you can easily go, well, it's not actually they weren't actually saying schizophrenia. They might even say something else. That little ambiguity. It's a nice touch. And this version, Pom Pom is the daughter of Boom Boom. Boom 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 Boom, the guy that you could just cheese in like 3 seconds in Mario 3, that nobody could take seriously. After a long and arduous task, Pom Pom finally got accepted into the Koopa Troops. So they go to bat her. She finally goes to Bowser's Castle. They line up. They do a whole training spiel where Pom Pom fights Wendy. There's weird lesbian subtext in the plot between Pom Pom and Wendy. Like, a lot of weird lesbian subtext. I don't know if that's intentional or not. I'm gonna say it's like, I'm gonna say it's unintentional, but who knows? So, continue with the plot. I don't know why I went with like the lesbian subtext. I should have been saying. I don't know. It's my birthday. I'm just my mind's on stuff I want to do yet. Later. Okay. The rest of the plot pretty much follows the same structure as the original. Bowser has this big plan to get Kidnap Peach. They set up all the Koopa Link kind of set up along the worlds. Iggy kind of does what he does best and just completely fucks around. Although this one is not really his fault. He's just he was just kind of the closest to the whole situation. Kind of just got a thing of bad luck, where he's trying to explore like dark magic and stuff like that. He's like, oh wait, I'm in the location where the dark magic I was sensing, my sensor was locating. And he goes to it. He goes in this temple. He finds this box. He doesn't open it because it breaks open itself. And Marilyn and Beldum kind of come out saying, "Aha! We were trapped for 10 years. Now it's time to take over the world." Like some kind of reference to Rita Repulsa from the original Power Rangers. So they do this whole spiel, including like I think it was this one. I believe it's no, it was this thing. Say Larry. Larry just completely just kind of got suckered in because I guess he's like implied to be closest as well. But the story kind of just follows the same path as the original Shadow's Emissaries. Once Beldam and Marilyn kind of escape, Wendy and Pom Pom team up to try and look for Vivian because they feel like she's the only one who could possibly deal with them and try and help resolve the situation. I do think it does take a different twist because I can't remember, because it does expand upon Vivian's character, more specifically Vivian and Pom Pom's character in relation to each other. Because in the original, Vivian was just a wild woman, and this one she kind of is relatively normal, relatively speaking. And like there's a whole plot point where Pom Pom basically believes that Vivian is evil, and there's a whole, is she evil? Like, what is her motives? Like, what's going on with Vivian? Because of the simple fact that Pom Pom is stemming all her trauma from Vivian disappearing, and simply doesn't know the context behind why Vivian left, especially once she realizes, hey, wait a minute, she might actually be real. And it's a neat like a way to continue to have the story drag along with Pom Pom's character as well, because the whole is she not idea. I think overall, this is a better structured plot than the original Shadows Emissaries. I do think it has a better idea of what it's trying to be. It has a better. The characters are simply like 100% better. Uh, I don't really have any more to say. Specifically, I don't have any more to say about the plot because this is more. This anything I said about the general structure and the plot, you can just see in the original Shadows Emissaries. This one's more character focused, which is why I'm going to be focusing more on the characters rather than the plot. But I want to get at least talk a little about the changes in the plot, uh, to kind of at least give some context about what the characters are. So, with the characters, on the other hand, oh boy, the characters are really well written. In the context of the story, they are really well done. There is a Vivian and not Vivian, Wendy and Pom Pom. I don't know why I said Vivian. Wendy and Pom Pom. I like their dynamics of being like really, really like trying to be friends. Again, there's the whole lesbian subtext behind this whole thing, and I honestly don't know if it's. And I seriously think it's like unintentional. Oh, I'd be surprised if it wasn't. There's better. I like their dynamic of being like very good friends. It's like I will protect you, Wendy, instead of Pom Pom in the original being like this feminist thing, which really was at odds with what Shadow's adversary is and the Super Koopalings was trying to do at the time. But this one is like Pom Pom is basically just trying to be like the best guard she could be. It's like, no, I was doing your you helped me with my training. You helped me realize that Vivian is real. I will protect you. And basically just trying to be like an overly ambitious guard, but still trying to protect, like still trying to retain that like friend demeanor with her. It's like I am a guard, but I'm also your friend, but I'm also a guard. It's a really neat dynamic with it, with like Wendy kind of putting like I mean like hilariously putting up with the idea. It's like no. Okay, I'm happy that you're being friends, that you want to be my guard, but we're friends. Can we be friends? But I'm also your guard, right? You're also my guard. Yeah, you're also my guard, and I really love that. But can we be friends? Okay. And it's a very childish way to describe this dynamic, but I think it works because Wendy was like very much the weakest character of all the Super Koopalings. I think this story specifically did a lot with it. Like if you like, that's the thing with like the Super Koopaling stories is since you have 7 Koopalings, one of the Koopalings kind of got fall behind, and in this case it was Wendy, and so I think this story really helped out with Wendy's character, kind of giving her more to do and giving her like an actual adventure, because the last episode she was like strict. She was like every other episode she was like very prominently in. She constantly had the spotlight stolen away from the other Koopalings. Like, oh yeah, Wendy's here, but also there's Roy. Hey, and Ludwig and Iggy. So it's neat that Wendy gets a solo episode. Like even like the previous episode, like what was that one episode with Wendy and Celia gone and just meeting up with their friends and meeting up. Like Wendy is just kind of like a kind of off the side, and she kind of gets her thunder stolen by like all the OCs. So it is. So I genuinely think it's good that Wendy gets like an episode to shine finally, and she's like the sole focus. Like, granted, the main character of the story is Pom Pom, but Wendy pulls a lot of the weight. Like, she pulls a lot of the weight to constantly get things moving. Like, she's the one. She's the one who decides we're gonna find Vivian. She's the one. She's the one who's constantly telling Pom Pom, no, Vivian's not is a good person. We don't know the context, and just trying to constantly bring Pom Pom up when she's feeling down and trying to help her with the whole thing. And Pom Pom doing the same thing with Wendy because of the whole friendship idea. I do think it's a really good dynamic that honestly fits. It makes me want to see Pom Pom more in these stories. Specifically, like any episode that focuses on Wendy, bring Pom Pom in. You have the dynamic right there. Like the whole princess and guard situation. That it's like they're also trying to be friends and they're trying to make, and it's like kind of awkward between them because it's like because like, oh, well, all the Koopalings treat the other guys like just regular guard, but like I'm a friend, but I'm also a guard. Hey! And I think it's a neat dynamic. Is all. Uh, Vivian. I need to get this out of the way. I did. Now you know. Anyone who's watched the original, like watched the original review of Shadow's Emissaries, I'm a big Vivian fan. Vivian's one of my favorite video game characters of all time because I just really like her dynamic. I really like her character arc. Uh, so I wasn't really a fan of her being like this whack ass wild woman because it's like that's not Vivian. That's like so detached from what Vivian was in the original that I just didn't like it. It was just completely it just did not sit well with me. I guess you could say a bias played a part in it because I'm such a big fan of the character. And yeah, you can say that I was being very biased. Uh, so there's that. But I will say, in this this version of Vivian, I love the idea. Like instead of being this wild woman, she's like aggressive. She's like aggressively friendly. She's like, I'm gonna hug you so hard, it's gonna hurt. Like, what? I'm gonna friendship you so hard, it's gonna hurt. What? she's like, she's so obsessed with wanting to make friends because, and this is like a whack ass reinterpretation of Vivian too, but it fits because it's still this aggressively and obsessively friendly Vivian still feels like Vivian. It's such a is such. This is honestly okay. So all the different Vivians I read are basically more or less continuations of just who Vivian was as a character and just kind of worked upon the basis of her character. So like Better Off Alone, it focuses more on her depression and stuff like that. But it was still more or less based on Vivian. Vivian in the Mole Sabotage Island is still literally just a retread of her story arc in Thousand Year Door. Uh, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, basically just a continuation of her character arc from Thousand Year Door. Kingdom Beyond Midnight, again, just a continuation from her character arc from Thousand Year Door. Every Vivian that I've read is basically just doing the baseline for what she was in Thousand Year Door, with Better Off Alone being like the most divergent. So reading Vivian here, who is so radically different, but still works because she still comes off as Vivian, is really good. I just and the whole idea of whether or not she's evil, like where does her allegiances play? And even like the flashbacks that Pom Pom has is like showing that Vivian, is still nice, but she's so awkward because she's not used to being around other people. Because in this version, the events at Thousand Year Door just never happened, so she's like, she's kind of just really awkward around Pom Pom. And then later with Bink, she's like incredibly aggressive with trying to be his friend, even like having like an anniversary party for their friendship, and being just kind of going along with it. It's radically different, but I love it because it just fits her. It fits what she's supposed to represent. Like a whole, I like the whole lonely friend who's like very awkward and shy and doesn't really know how to make friends. It really fits, and even though she doesn't really appear a lot, what we do see of her is just a real treat for trying to advance not only Pom Pom's story, but also advance the story. Because again, Vivian is very tightly wound into Pom Pom's character arc of trying to figure out if how Vivian's relationship with her fell apart, and Pom Pom trying to learn and trying to move past the trauma from being gaslit all these years, and also the fact that Vivian is tied to the plot, and the fact that they need her to be able to help them stop Marilyn and Beldum. I think it's really well done. Even Bink Kong, like, who only really shows up in like a very very short amount of time. Like, he only really shows up like right here. Uh, he only shows up in like small groups of chapters. But what we see him is like very intriguing. Like, this very the only issue I have with Bink is like we don't know what he looks like, because I think I'm pretty sure Star just simply forgot to do a description of him. That would honestly be, yeah. I'll think about it. Uh, Bink, like, being this like Kong, he's like, who's specifically related to? If you're Kong, you're related to Donkey Kong. Like, but he's like very greedy, but he's also greedy with like morals. Like, I may be greedy, but I'm not a jackass. There, I owe you one. Ching. And also becoming like being health conscious and being friends with Vivian, and like his friendship just feels genuine. It's like it it is awkward at first, because like it kind of is intended to be awkward at first because of the whole dynamic of Bink and Vivian, but it really does feel like it's just like they're kind of awkward friends. Like, they don't really, but they truly grow into true friends. Like, even when Bink's about to die, uh, where like he gives Vivian his debit card. It's like, go to the Flower Kingdom. I know it's not your fault. Just take my money, go. And him being like truly selfless before he passed away, because he knows he's about to die. So it's like, I'm about to die. I don't need this person. My true friend, my best friend Vivian. She needs this money more than I do. It really kind of makes Bink an interesting character. I genuinely want to see more Bink. I know he dies at this point. I think he does appear in the original Shadows of Mirror series as well, and dies. So it's good to see like a background on him, and that actually makes him such an intriguing character. That just genuinely wants you to see like more of his past, like how he grew up, like his relation. Granted, if Starlet Duck ever writes a story about Bink, it can't be a Mario fan fiction, because he's a Kong, so it's gotta have to be a Donkey Kong fan fiction. So like, you're gonna have to bring in the Kongs as well. Um, but it does make me interested in like his character, like if we're gonna see more of Bink, because I genuinely think that Bink should be involved, at least like a sort of side story sort of thing, like kind of just going on in his character, like how he became the way he is especially contrasting like all the other Kongs who like more actual monkey. And yeah, I think all the characters, even Marilyn Belden, like despite the fact they only really appear like three times in the story technically, uh, they're really well done. Like, they're just horrible people who bully Vivian for or forever, because like they do in canon. Oh, also, I also like the fact that this is also the first fan fiction where Vivian is portrayed as transgender. Uh, every other Vivian fanfiction I read portray her as a woman, because that's honestly how she's usually typically portrayed. So I think it's a nice touch that the author did go that extra mile, despite the fact I do treat um, the female Vivian and the trans Vivian as like two separate characters, and I more prefer the female Vivian. I'm not saying that the trans Vivian is bad. It's just more preference than anything else. So I appreciate that. I appreciate going the extra mile to properly portray the trans Vivian, even if it's only in this one story. I don't know if she's gonna appear anymore. Who knows? Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. But giving that extra detail is really neat. Grammar error. There was a grammar error, I think, in chapter 37, but I think I actually told her about it and I don't know if she fixed it or not. Yeah, it's still right here. Like these two paragraphs, she just randomly, she randomly called Vivian Vic. She did tell me that this is like a grammar error, but I don't know how. I don't know how because I'm pretty sure autocorrect would catch Viv. Because I don't think it would. But yeah, this is just the only. This is like the only significant grammar error because it's just so funny. Um, Pacing wise, I think it's paced very perfectly. I do think maybe it could the fight between the Shadow Sirens could have went a little longer, but I know like writing fighting fights is not Starlit Duck's best way, best thing to do. Because I know some people are like just not really good at writing fight scenes. I know Star's just one of them, so I'm not gonna really blame her for not doing it. But yeah, I do think this story is good. I would probably put it either the second best story or probably the third best story based on like what I ultimately think of like is it better than Split Mindset or not? It's up there. So yeah, that is Shadows Emissaries Redux. Let's move on to the next story, which is The World Above by Super Mario Bros. Ultimate. This was the other story she asked me to do. So yeah, the whole promise was I review these two stories. I didn't think it was too big a deal because like it's two short stories. Consider the fact what the next story I'm doing is this, which is like going to be just completely stupid. But yeah, this is The World Above. It is another Mario fan fiction, but it doesn't really feature any of the Mario characters except for like a quick cameo by Mario and Peach at the end. So, what is this story about? Well, this story is about this girl named Pearl, who is a underworlder, which is you can actually see her right here. She's there. She is. There's Pearl right there. She is this living rock creature called an underworlder, and she basically goes on like a little adventure where she gets sucked up into the pipe and ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom. That's basically the premise at the beginning. I will say that when it comes to the actual plot, because on its core, the plot of the story is just a little girl just seeing sights. That's literally it. It's just a girl gets lost, finds this finds this new world, the Mushroom Kingdom, and like the surrounding areas, and just gets to meet new people. That's it. That's honestly it. It does resonate with me because I will spoil this. This is very much a kid style story. It's the plot's not deep because it's literally just a girl going on like a little adventure and meeting new people. And just honestly at the end she just end up home and they get to keep the pipe and all that. And that's when it comes to kid stories like this, ultimately it's just like how do you judge it, like how do you judge like a more kid story centered for focused to for kid for my tongue getting tied. I'm actually getting hungry too. I'll probably get something to eat after this. Back to the story. How do you differentiate like something like Shadow's Emissary, which is more for more for teenagers and adults, than The World Above, which is clearly aimed for children. It's clearly meant to be a fan fiction for children to read and kind of introduce themselves to like the world and some ideas. And I say sometimes child stories can be for grown-ups. I do think in terms of like the execution of the plot, because even like as someone who has to review each of these stories and kind of have to go for uh like a blank sheet slate for each fanfiction, kind of get graded not against each other but against itself, except at the end of the year. I do think like as an execution of a simple idea that's meant to like kind of have some fun and meant to be more for like 8, 9 years old. The execution is really well done. I do like the plot. It's very simple. It doesn't really go that deep. Same with the characters. The characters are not deep at all. That's mainly because they're all children. And children are just more fun and easy to read. You don't typically want to see like children go into like these deep, dark sections. It's more for grown-ups and stuff like that. So I appreciate like reading this story after reading this story, which is more for adults, and this story, which is clearly meant for children. And this is actually a really well written story in terms of the plot. Now, if you want the details of the story, little girl wanders away from home because she is wanted at night. Finds pipe, goes up pipe, ends up in Mushroom Kingdom, meets Bee Person. Bee Person takes her to her family, shows her around Mushroom Kingdom. Everyone kind of just weirds out because it's like, what? What? Oh! They visit Peach's castle. Peach not home. They take cake. They go to other worlds. She sees these other worlds. Girl meets her friends. Friends tell her about themselves. They see all these power-ups and go to a lab. And then little girl realizes it's nighttime. So little girl needs to go home. They find pipe inside Bee Person area. I don't know why I'm doing it like this. Just bear with me. They drink potion based off the invisible invisible cap from Mario 64. They go in pipe. They try to head home. They take minecart ride. They get attacked by spooky Goombas. One bee girl does the Hadouken, and kicks everyone's ass. They get home. They get a call. They get worried by the mother. Bee people find out girl is princess of rock people. They ran into aunt a jackass. They ran into mom calls out the jackass aunt. Mom treats bee people to dinner, and also tells rock people, like, if they're your friends, you can go visit them whenever you want. Okay? Yay! Bee people don't like rock people food unless it's sprinkled with like special seasoning, and then they like it. Also, tough bee girl tries to eat rock. Does not like rock. And then we get a cameo by Mario, who's like, we're rock people. I wonder what situation will go next. And then of course we got a sequel hook like, fucking of all things, Luigi's Mansion 3. Yes, Luigi, go deal with the last resort, and also those three little girl ghosts who are like based off next level games. Quick, Nitty, Ginny, Lindsay, do something spooky. Okay. Ooh, does it scares Luigi with the finger trick? I don't know why I'm getting into Luigi's Mansion. I don't know. But I don't even know why I did it like that. I guess I'm just feeling childish. Instead of fact, like today, like as of this recording, I'm now officially 32. It is my birthday, but I wanted to just have some fun. In terms of characters, you have Pearl. Pearl is basically like this cut-off girl who's basically just kind of lonely because everyone kind of treats her as a princess. So when she meets the bee people, she realizes I don't want to tell them I'm a princess because then I think they treat me differently. So she kind of just pretends to be like a normal girl, like who just wandered into the Mushroom Kingdom by accident. It's like, yay! Granted, she kept trying to consider telling them, but she kept kind of convincing herself not to because she was so worried about them treating her differently that I kind of got it in the way. Granted, the bee people did find out at the end. And then you have the three bee girls. There's Belle, who is a tomboy. I like them tomboys. Definitely deserve some bias points. Who's basically obsessed with wanting to be like super tough it even have it like Hadouken called the Bidouken! Shinku Bidouken! Uh, I wonder what you would call the Shoryuken. Or that the spinning roundhouse kick. Or Luxembourg! Oh, I'm reminded of the Blanca makes pound cake. Yeah, would anyone like some a pound cake? Luxembourg! I'm not even gonna put the clip in. That's just so goofy. Okay, so Luxembourg! No, I'm kidding. I'm having fun with this story. Uh, so there's Belle. She's this tough girl who doesn't take no shit from anyone. Who wants to be tough. And there's even like a moment like at the end, where Pearl gives Belle here's some coins, and she goes into this little shop, and she gets nice like, ooh, these gauntlets look nice, and she grabs 4 because she's a bee person. She has like 4 hands, and she's like, it says 40 coins. I have exactly 40 coins. She puts the 4 gauntlets on. It's like, I like to buy these pieces. Like, and the shopkeeper's like, okay, 80 coins. It's like, but it said, wait a minute, it said 40 coins. Like, yeah, because you're buying 2 sets. It's like, what do you mean I'm buying 2 sets? I'm buying 1 set. It's like, no, because 2 gauntlets for 2 hands. It's like, what do you call these? And she shows up all 4 hands, and the shopkeeper probably freaks out. Like, ah! Ah! He's like, all right. Buy one, get one free for you only. Yay! It's kind of a cute thing. It's like funny. And she even like, and even like before that, where they're being chased by the not this one, the Doombas, and she's basically like, she kills the first Doomba, and she's turning around and inflates herself. She's like, oh, she turns right around, and it's like, oh, come on, and she kicks off the minecart, and then she sees the Doombas all surrounding, like the whole wall of Doombas like surrounding the minecart, and everyone starts freaking out except for her. She goes like, she like she like has her fist or buy 1, no wait, buy 2 get 2 free. And she's thinking, all these Doombas are gonna be sent across the years. And she just starts kicking all their asses. I like it. And then you have I like Belle. She's hilarious. And then you had Brittany and Brooke. I'm trying to remember what chapter. Here we go. Here we go. We have Brittany and Brooke, and these are like the smart ones. I do like the fact that they do imply Brittany might be autistic simply because she gets an extra hour in the testing room, and I know for a fact, as someone who was in the autism program, one of the benefits of that is like during tests you do get an extra hour, so it's like, oh, it's like implying that she might be autistic, with like actually revealing she's autistic because it's like the only clue you get. And I do like it. I do like Brittany being like the shy girl who even her design is like kind of implying like autism because like, okay, the short, like, this is Brittany right here. She has a tomato red dress with black lines, which droop down, which like implies like the sleeves are like covering her hands, like going over it, so it's like dripping. And her white collar shirt, like probably like possibly cover up her mouth or even like eyes or stuff like that, kind of hide her face. Yeah, and even like her antennas kind of imply that, where like it's like in like, instead of being like the traditional bee like sort of thing where it's like upward and like straight and like kind of curved, this one's kind of bending down to like her face and kind of drooping as well. And it's a neat little attention to detail. I like Brooke. I think Brooke's a fine character. Brittany's like the weakest character, but that's because of how she behaves, because of how she is. She doesn't really get a lot of screen time. She's just there for kind of just like to complete the party. Like you have the tomboy, you have the smart one, and you have like, kind of like the shy one. So it's meant to be like a clique sort of deal. And I do think that it does perfectly reflect that. I think they're fine. Nothing really bad with it. Grammar wise, I didn't see any grammar errors in it. Pacing wise, I didn't see any pace. I didn't see. I think it's paced very perfectly. It's a very short story. I played in like about a day. It just took me all day because while I was reading it, I was at work. Um, but in terms of recommending, I would actually recommend both stories. Which one do I think is the better one? This one. Sorry, sorry, Star. But I do think this one is just slightly better. But I'm not. But both of them are really good. In terms of my favorite part of the story, which Shadow's Emissary, it's easily Vivian. I just like what the author did, what Starlit Duck did with Vivian as a character. And with the world above, it's Belle. I think Belle's just hilarious. She basically hard carried a lot of the story for just being like an over the top tomboy. Like even amongst tomboys, she's like completely like borderline a caricature of a tomboy. What would I fix with World Above? I wouldn't fix anything. I think it's perfectly fine as is. With Shadow's Emissaries, fix fix the grammar errors in chapter 37 that I showed. Maybe and you don't have to, and the author doesn't have to do this because I know she particularly struggles with this. Maybe extend the fight between the Shadow Sirens a bit. Again, I know she doesn't have to do that. And also maybe consider doing like a sort of side story focusing on Bink. I genuinely do want to see Bink like a backstory for him, like an actual genuine backstory for Bink. I do think he's that intriguing of a character. But yeah, that is Shadows Emissaries and The World Above. I do thank you, Star, for suggesting these stories to me. That's all. And make sure you tell Super Mario Bros. Ultimate. This has been Dark Symphony 777 and cut.